Welcome to the Misfit One Lifestyles with Elizabeth Colin. She will awaken and connect with your Misfit One. Are you tired of the ups and downs in your life? Are you ready to live a healthy lifestyle once and for all? We are talking about all aspects of your life. Being fit is not just physical, it's also your mind and soul. Learn how to take steps in your life to move towards your goals. Elizabeth's goal is for everyone listening to the sound of her voice to get fit. Let's get focused, let's get intentional, and let's transform. Now here's your host, Elizabeth Colin.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Misfit One Lifestyles with your girl, Elizabeth Colin, also known as Misfit One. And listen, today's guest is someone we must listen to. I hear it so many times that I think I have ADD. I may have ADD, but you think you're too old to have ADD as an adult? Think again, because my guest, Christy Hoyt, is going to break down the 411 on this whole ADD and how we can deal with it. Welcome, my dear.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I am beyond excited to speak to, and I know everybody who's listening is like tuned in right now. I want everybody to go ahead, grab your pen and paper, because I know that this is going to be something that if we don't deal with it personally, we know others who do. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with ADHD too, right? ADHD. And what's the difference between ADD and ADHD?
Yeah, well, to start with that one, we always heard ADD, and actually in the literature, it's ADHD. It's all ADHD apparently now. And so if you have, it's called ADHD inattentive, which we know to be ADD, or ADHD hyperactive, which we know to be ADHD. And so if I just refer to ADHD, I'm really referring to both. Gotcha. And so if you guys look things up through YouTube, through medical journals, you'll always see just ADHD, but no, they're talking about both.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know, because anybody who knows me, I consider myself ADD, and then I describe my husband as ADHD. I don't know how that's a couple for you right there.
Actually, that's me and my husband, and I'm the H and he's the inattentive.
Right. I think it's so funny. Everybody goes, whoa. But yeah, that's pretty much, we've never been diagnosed, but you know the type, right?
Yes.
I am so fascinated with you. Thank you so much for coming on today, because, my cousins, my girlfriends, we have this discussion on, I want to say like a weekly basis, honestly, about, girl, I got ADD. I can't get my work done. Girl, I don't know what and I'm like, listen, all I can do is like set a timer. This is basically what I do. Okay. When I have something that must be done, which is all the time in work, right? Must be done. I set a timer for an hour, and I said, I cannot get up. I cannot do anything but this task for 1 hour. And you should see me like a second grader looking at the time. I'm looking left, I'm looking right, looking up, like, okay, do you work? But, I get over it. I get my hour. And as soon as that hour is done, I am up and running around, and then I can come back. But how do we deal with it? Because that's some of the things that you teach us, to kind of reprogram our brain in all of this. Can you help a sister out? Help me out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I love that you already know what works for you, because I think that's the biggest thing, is once we realize we have ADHD, whether it's diagnosed or we just see strong tendencies, because the D part, the disorder, really is, we all do these things already. We all lose things. We all are disorganized or messy, or can't focus or too much focus, but the disorder comes in when it interrupts your life and other people's lives. And
Oh,
so if people want to look for a diagnosis for medicine or for whatnot, that's great. But if you've noticed things in your life, then you can just work on that. And so I love that you've already found something that has worked for you it, in the realm of maybe just a little bit, and you're working on it and trying it out, and that's a lot of because now I coach. I used to be in education, and that's a lot of what we would do is we would just what works for your brain, because just because you have ADHD doesn't mean you have the same personality, the same life experience or interests. And so a lot of it tends to be trial and error, and a lot of it we need to just intuitively know that we know what we can do for ourselves if we just listen to ourselves and listen to our brain of, hey, this isn't working doing it this way, let's try it this way. And so a lot of it is hard to say, oh, you just do this when everyone's a little different, you know.
right, right. You're absolutely right, because my cousin is like, no, I cannot do that. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, I don't know, and it's crazy because I really thought that I could not be diagnosed. Like they said, have you really been diagnosed? I'm like, no, girl, no, I'm just saying that because I'm an adult, I didn't think as an adult you can be diagnosed as AD. Now, I guess you say HD, but I love your story because before I say anything, you guys, I want you guys to know that you're listening to the truth. We're going to be honest and authentic here in order for us all to help one another. So I really, really appreciate that, Christy. I read in your bio that you were diagnosed at 26 with ADHD. Now, how was that for you?
Oh my gosh, that was a flurry of emotions, really, because I'm a 90s kid, so we kind of heard about ADHD, but you didn't really know anybody with it. And then it's a horribly named diagnosis because you only think of attention when it's really so much more than that. So when I was older, at 26, that's still a baby, and
Right.
I,
But an adult, right? But you're not, I
an
think,
adult baby.
yeah, adult baby. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had just gotten married to my husband, and he was diagnosed when he was 15 with ADHD and attentive. And one day he said, Chrissy, I think you have ADD. And I said, no, I just love organizing, because you always hear people with ADHD are scatterbrained. And he said, I get it. But I watched this PBS special and it said, hi, I'm Ted. I have ADHD. Where's my keys? And that's when I knew. I was like, he's on to something, because every day I'm like, where's my phone? Where's my keys? And that was actually one of the first things I worked on.
Wow. I didn't realize that was a sign or an indicator. Can you go more
Yeah.
into that? Because I think of, and please enlighten us. When I think of ADD, I only think of where a person can't pay attention for a certain amount of time. I didn't really think about the disorder. I really don't even know what the DD is.
Yeah. And I think
Disorder.
that's the hard part is, one, the name makes it sound like it's just ADHD, but um, just to give a few things, it's really a disorder of self-regulation. So it's hard to regulate your emotions, your sustained attention, or if you have too much attention, there's this thing called hyperfocus, which can be a real gift sometimes. And yeah, there's also working memory, and that's where the forgetting things, not being able to pay attention where you put things, or so those are some part. And executive functioning is a big one, just doing your homework and turning it in. There's a whole process to that. A lot of people think of that. And so really ADHD, we're not realizing that it really encompasses every aspect of our lives. Sorry, I think my,
Uh-oh. Wait,
oh,
I
can you hear
lost
me?
you. Yeah,
Oh,
I lost you. So yeah, so go back. We lost. So go back and talk about I heard the last thing was like executive.
Oh, perfect. Sorry about that. And so another big one is executive functioning skills, and that's even driving. Driving's an executive functioning skill, getting your organizing your schedule, doing homework, um, just the littlest things can be executive functioning. And if you think about it, all of those things I listed are things we do all day long. And if
Yeah,
you have a disorder in it, all day long, things are kind of disordered and chaotic. And so I think it's really hard for a lot of us to, one, recognize that we have something that is seen as a disorder, but at the same time, it's really validating in a way and relieving. That's how I felt. I felt really relieved as, oh, I'm not lazy, I'm not stupid, I'm not spacey.
right,
I have something with my brain. And then the nice thing is you can change it, not just
right.
with medicine, but your own exercises, your own mental and physical. There's all sorts of things we can do. And then when we're not changing fast enough with the impulsivity and really wanting things right away, then we get discouraged. But I think that's also kind of normal for most people.
I really am fascinated by all of this because I never even thought about executive functioning, which is crazy because I'm an executive, right? I'm a CEO of my company. I'm great at delegating things, but what's difficult is me doing my stuff, right? And so what I look at that is, okay, and you dead on, I get frustrated, I get overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my God, I feel as though I can't ever catch up, right? I feel like I'm
Right.
always behind. So like when we feel those things, what are some of your suggestions to kind of throttle back? Like you said, we can reprogram our mind. And that gives me hope.
Oh, good, good. Yeah. Oh, I know there's some days where I think, oh gosh, is this ever going to get better? And there's other days where I think, oh my gosh, I've come so far. I'm so happy. You know,
Right, right. I'm killing the
yeah.
game. I'm killing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. What I have a little Facebook group, and what I usually share in there and with others is if everything feels overwhelming, just pick one thing at a time that you think will help with many things. For me, and a lot of times you can write it out, you can talk with somebody. A lot of us are perfect. A lot of us are uh, verbal processors. So if you could talk to somebody, and I realized one time, um, this was a couple of years after I was diagnosed, that I realized a lot of my problems stem from laundry. And I know that sounds ridiculous.
Come through, talk to us. Let's tell the truth because that sounds
Yes,
so relatable. But
yes.
why is that for you?
So I realized really from a problem was that I was always losing things or I couldn't get places on time. And a lot of it stemmed from a chaotic home, but specifically laundry. And I hate laundry, always have. I have a good
Right,
system
right,
for it
right.
now.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, if you have kids in the mix, there's a million tiny little things you have to deal with. Can't
Absolutely.
stand it.
It's never
And
ending.
yes, and I realized a lot of my personal problems came from now, there's laundry everywhere. I can't find the things I need, let alone clothes, so I can get out the door and my little humans out the door with clean clothes because we have no idea where they are. It costs more money because you're buying more things and it's covering other things you're trying to find. And even just the emotional oppression of a chaotic home, and ours was laundry everywhere. And
Right.
so once I got a system down for laundry, it was amazing how other things started to fall into place. I wasn't crying in my
That,
bathroom because we're
that's
late anymore. you know.
right. I love that because it's really key that you say that because I tell my husband, like, I'm very orderly person. Like, I am almost like I would be in the military, except I don't want nobody to tell me what to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, the dichotomy of ADHD.
That's right. Yeah, I don't want to remember. But it's so crazy because laundry was one of the things also for me because it's never ending. Like I don't care. I would stand in front of the washer, take your clothes off and throw them in there. And still, by the time you go take a shower, it's more towels, it's more things. I'm like, it's a never ending thing for me. But I was talking to a celebrity one day and she said she loved laundry. And I was like, what? She said, oh, I love it. I was like, please tell me the secret
Yeah.
to loving laundry. And she said, listen, you wash the clothes, you dry the clothes, and you get to sit down in front of the TV and watch something while you are folding. I mean, how many times can you sit down without somebody saying you're not doing anything or I'm busy? You can get away with a lot when you say I'm doing
Yeah.
laundry. And I thought about it and I was like, genius, genius, right? And I
Yes.
love it because I do now find this like not that bad because I do pop on Netflix or whatever and do the laundry. But I want to go back to what you said about your home is a reflection of what's going on, like the chaos with your laundry is everywhere. That is also one of the keys that I tell my husband that stuff is not okay. If my bed is not made, because again, I'm very militant. So
Right.
if something is off, something is off.
Yes. And that's how so many things that we do, that's the disordered part of ADHD, it seeps into everything. And so it seeps into our relationships. And then it's like, well, you must not love me because you don't do the laundry, or, well, that's not it. It's hard for me to do it, and being able to work together and just our own chaos or our children having to grow up with it. And so it really just seeps into every aspect of our life. And then on the flip side, when we get better at it, it seeps into every aspect in a fantastic way.
Absolutely. I really believe that you have ADHD when you can take over the world. When you can
Yeah.
harness that power for good,
Yes.
it's like a magic, it's like your own superpower. And I love where you say how people have a negative the name of it itself, is a negative mark against you, or you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed, or I'm not like other people. How do you go about coaching your clients about that, because it is a stigma of some sort?
Yeah. A lot of it really comes down to appreciating and who you are, but also accepting who you are, because we
Hmm.
got to the point where we think we have ADHD because oh, did I cut out? Sorry. Um, we got to a point where we realize we have ADHD because of the disordered aspect. And so it's really hard because we're down on ourselves. And so when I do start coaching people, it's to take those aspects and look at it just for what it is as a third person, just accept it for what it is, and be grateful that we can see the negative aspects, because the only way to get it better is to recognize it and then move forward. And
Wow.
then you also recognize all the ways it has helped you. And I have people fill out this chart, ADHD, how it manifests in my life. Because, for example, impulsivity, there's a high rate of people with ADHD who have higher death rates, accidental and suicide.
Really?
Yeah. Dr. Russell Barkley talks about this a lot too. I always call him Charles Barkley on accident. Wrong person.
I'm like, I know Charles Barkley. I didn't know he
Yeah.
was a doctor, but yeah.
Yeah. Don't go to him for ADHD. But there's yeah, but there's higher rates of these things, and so with the impulsivity, but at the same time, if you can hone it and really have what I call, I don't think it's a real thing, but what I call calculated impulsivity. It really helps us to jump forward. And that's why so many business owners, successful business owners, also have ADHD, because they've learned to calculate it and hone it in. So on one hand, we have higher substance abuse, risky sexual behaviors. On the other hand, we have business owners and doctors, all these high achievers. So really, it's just looking at it and making the best out of what you have and seeing what good can come out of it.
Wow, that is so true. That is so true. I really like that you said that, because it does take the stigma away from the diagnosis. I know a lot of people don't even want to be diagnosed because they don't want that to be there. Do you know what I mean? Have you found that?
Oh, for sure. Some people will accept it readily. I felt like I did because it made so much sense.
Right.
But other people, they don't even, a lot of people in my family, granted, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist, so technically I cannot diagnose people, and I don't try to.
Right.
But when we do the exact same things, and you won't recognize you might have ADHD, it just is hard. It's really hard, and I don't blame anybody that doesn't want to look at it, because it can be painful, especially how society looks at it and talks about it. And so it can be really difficult. But you know what I tell people all the time is
Yeah.
everybody has something wrong with them and everybody has something great. So just because someone says, oh, I have ADHD, doesn't mean that if you're neurotypical that you have no problems and you're better than other people. I don't think neurotypical people say that, but
Right.
I think some people suggest it. And so I think everybody has a weakness and everybody has a strength. We're just identifying common traits.
Oh, that's awesome. That really is. When we are looking at that whole ADHD, I literally feel like you said, and I believe in, we reprogram our brain all the time. And I think that's amazing. That's part of how we do affirmations. We write it down, we are reprogramming our mind. And the fact that we can take things, and like you said, do your chart and figure out where you are on this, your habits and what you do, and to make adjustments accordingly. Have you found something that typically could help, majority of us?
Yeah. So there's probably a better name for this, but I just call it background work.
I like that.
Yeah. And so there's background work, and then there's also context specific things. And so as far as background work, it's things that people should just do anyway, but it's exercise. There's lots of research and literature, not just for ADHD, but how important it is for balancing neurochemicals in your brain, your overall body system. So if you have a functioning body, everything's going to get better, And then, of course, nutrition, as healthy as you can get. Then you have sleep. A lot of people with ADHD have sleep problems. And then you have meditation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that is so funny, because everything you're saying is like, yeah, stop talking about me, Christy. I don't need you to go on the air and tell everybody about me. But it's so funny. And I have no shame in my game.
Oh,
anybody
good.
know me, like, yeah, Elizabeth. And it's crazy because I do monitor myself. I think that is why I'm so rigid. I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have to be diagnosed. I can recognize it in myself. And I also have a rare blood disease. And one of the things was that my kids could be hyper or whatever, all these things. And I didn't care, because I totally just put them in a lot of activities. They was in dance and in sports and this, and we had all these things because I was going to wear them down. Like if your mama is always going, 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 you are going to be going, 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 right?
Oh, I love it. I
So
love it.
I think it's hilarious. It's like, oh, we have a schedule, baby. We're gonna go. We're gonna do this, and I found that that was very helpful, because I harnessed it for good, right? So they're like outstanding in this and they amazing in that, instead of just letting them sit around because you know that you could get in a lot of trouble at school if you are disruptive all the time, and if you are not just in school, in life,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
really. No, I completely agree. And I love that you did what works well for you, and you also did it for your kids, because your kids will have a lot of the same, not obviously genetics, but they'll tend to have the same personality traits as
Right.
well and interests.
Yeah, now whoever thought of that? Like a little, like three little Elizabeths? Come on.
I love it.
It's like whatever. I can deal with it though. I can deal with it.
Yeah,
You know, one of the other things that you talked about was meditation, and I do daily meditation. I cannot
nice.
every morning the first thing I do before I step foot out of the bed is my meditation. And I do a little you know, my Bible devotions, and then I can start my day. One of the most standard questions that I always want to know, because our audience is very curious about successful people and how they're living, you know, how are they starting their day? So I pose that question to you, Christy, like, how do you start your day?
So actually, it's for me, especially in the season of life we're in right now, it's actually how I start my night is how my next day goes better. And so for me, because we have little kids in the home
Mhm.
and some of them don't sleep well at night, particularly one, she's 2.5, and she's really
Oh,
given
how
it to us.
cool. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love it. Love
she's
it, love it.
she's a pistol. But because of that season of life, it's actually the nighttime sets me up for a good day. And so what I do each night and what I do with my coaching clients is, and they can do this in the day when it's best for them, is that it's about planning the next day. And when you plan the next day, then you can plan in how long does it take to get somewhere. You won't forget your appointments, making checklists, putting things by the door. Actually, it's my planning process is really quick. It's just about 10-15 minutes. And then I feel so much more relaxed at night because I'm ready for the next day. And then,
So you feel
yeah,
much more relaxed at night for the next day. Is that what
y-
you're saying?
yes, yes.
Wow.
And I'm able to sleep better and I have everything ready because the mornings are just crazy.
Go, go,
And
go.
so in the mornings, I can just focus on the basics. Like you said, do a meditation. I can only get a quick one in, or
Yeah.
or yeah, or a quick exercise, just to start getting things up and moving, get your water in, and a decent breakfast, you know. And so if I plan the night before, the next morning I can have a smaller time frame I need to set myself up for a better day.
Man, that is fantastic information. I mean, you guys, you hear her, you writing this down, set yourself up for success. I live by a checklist, right?
Oh,
I am
yes.
a checklist junkie, right?
Yeah.
Because one, I'll forget, first of all, what am I supposed to do? And then,
Yeah.
and then my mind all night is running, running, and running. Did I do this? Oh, I was supposed to do that. No, I didn't do it. Can I get and then, like you said, you don't sleep well because I'm
Right.
trying to focus on everything that I have to do or did not do. And it's then the next day, it's a snowball effect. So I thank you for saying the checklist, because that was one of the things that I had on my checklist to talk to you about is, do you find that was like some of the things that I think that is helpful for a lot of us who do it. Like I say, we talk about this all the time. Like, did you do your checklist? As a matter of fact, I created a planner just for that. That's coming out. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's so important to do that. So at night, you just set aside 10, 15 minutes, do your to-do list for the next day, right?
Yeah. And that's when I usually get my scripture reading in, or if someone has a spiritual practice, that's a great time to get it in. If you want to do your meditation at night or, or in the morning, but that's when I usually put that in. There we go.
Or in the mornings.
Yes, or in the morning, that's when you can put in those extra things that really help. And so when I was talking about the background, it's the exercise, the nutrition, the sleep, meditation, and of course the spiritual practice can be a part of the meditation. But then if you look at context-driven things that you can do for your ADHD, I usually refer to a system or a schedule, and that could be checklists, that could be planning, that can be you put something down in a certain spot all the time. That's what I would do with my phone, so I'd stop losing things, And so usually a system or a schedule can help with other chaotic things that happen with ADHD. Even in conversations, you can set up systems and schedules to help you not interrupt people or focus on what they're saying.
Wow. Can you give us as an example of that? Wait, before we go further though, what is a way that we can stay connected with you? What is your website, your social media?
Sure. So my website is easyadhdliving.com. And I came up with Easy ADHD Living because frequently we're talking about, I'm just so exhausted. I feel like life is so chaotic. And I just wanted a term that said, you can have a flow to life and have a successful life with some flow and less stress. So Easy ADHD Living across the board for Instagram, for Facebook. Actually, Facebook, I'm Christy Hoyt, but for website and Instagram, Easy ADHD Living.
Perfect. Okay, so now that we know where to find you, could you give us an example of a system in a conversation?
Yeah. So a lot of times people have a hard time either focusing on a conversation or they're so excited about what they have to say. They keep talking over people, or if you're a kid in class, you're blurting stuff out, whether you have a hand raised or not.
Absolutely.
I've even seen kids jump out of their chair when I was teaching.
I love it because I hope my husband is totally listening to this, because this is like.
Yeah. So when you're trying to pay attention more in conversations, that is a skill you can just practice, like lifting weights at the gym. And it's more of a mindfulness practice. So you can have someone practice with you, or you can practice with a podcast or something, and just take a concept or take a few minutes, a timer, and just really focus on what they're saying. Think about all the senses. How does it sound? Visualize what they're saying, and just keep spreading that out. Like I said, it's like weight repetition at the gym. And the more you practice, the easier it will get. And you can practice this with medication or without medication. Either way, it'll be really good for your brain to practice it.
I love that. I really do, because that's not one of my things. Finally, we're talking about something that it doesn't affect me. Like, because I was like, because I'm truly fascinated by others. So I love to just go, I'm all into it. I visualize it. I see it. Right.
Yeah.
And that's something that is very, very key to not only kids, but adults in corporate America, because listening is, like we used to always say, God gave you 2 ears and one mouth, right? Like you drink
Yes.
more and talk less. And I think that is something that we can learn and start practicing now. It's not something that
Yeah.
we have to wait on or order something or see the doctor. It's all the things that you are giving us today is just priceless, because these are things that we can start, in baby steps.
Right. It really is baby steps. And a really hard thing for people with ADHD is just getting things done or starting it. And so it's great to gather information, but what I really like for people to do is to really focus on why you want to do this, because then you're more likely to get it done. And we talk about dopamine all the time. People with ADHD have lower dopamine, and dopamine motivates you to do something. It doesn't happen after, it happens before. And so if you're motivated by either getting out of pain or a reward, who cares? Use that to then practice whatever you need to practice. So if your partner is saying, you never listen to me, you don't like me, it's really hard, then use that motivation for a stronger relationship to then practice these steps of practicing listening, and so we just got to use that motivation to move forward.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's a drop mic moment right there. Because you spoke about medication or not medication. And what's so crazy is I am not medicated, but I am medicated with my exercise. So that is my Prozac, right? That is my whatever you take for, I don't know, ADD, I don't know, but that that is my medication. And the dopamine is something that my body actually produces when I work out, because I've been working out for so long, for so many years, that my body actually produces this. And I found out the hard way because I had to have surgery or something, and I couldn't work out for like 8 weeks.
Wow.
And I went stir crazy, like cray. And I went to the doctor. I don't know what's going on. I am crazy. I feel as though I'm going crazy. I could be laughing one moment and crying, or vice versa, crying one moment or laughing.
Yeah.
I want to go to the beach. I don't want to go to the beach. I'll drive to the beach. I don't want to go there. It was just so crazy that I said, I need help. When I went to the doctor, and it was totally proven that my exercise is my medication. So I did have to go on medication at that point because I wasn't physically able to work out. But once I got back to working out, I didn't have to be on the medication anymore. And my doctor said,
Yeah.
I totally wish I had more patients like you. That's like, wait, I got it. It was so funny because I was so concerned, but my body definitely do need, not, and I'm not talking about physically, but for my mental, I need to work out. Um,
Yes. And I love that you brought that up, because I actually started to look at exercise as medication for myself, because I don't take any either. I haven't either found some that works for me, or the one that I did find works for me, my liver does not like. And so I can't take any medication that works for me. And so
right,
I just had to learn to work with my brain. And I think it's wonderful when people find medication that works for them,
right.
and but there are other ways to manage ADHD, not just manage, but flourish. And one of them is exercise. And I love that you brought that up, because again, there's so many neurochemicals that get balanced out. And exercise is a great way to process your emotions and to process through the day. It's just a fantastic tool that everybody has access to. And of course, exercise can look like anything that's of interest.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to take that whole thing of exercise is something you have to do. I look at it as something I get to do. It
Yes.
is something I get to do. And I am so grateful that I'm able to do it, whatever it is. Like, I shared with you that I'm in Ohio with my grandbaby, and it was for Easter, we did the Easter eggs, and then I did a whole
Oh,
workout with eggs, and I'm going to do it on the morning show that I could show. Like, you can literally take boiled eggs, you can do anything and work out and have fun. And it's just
I
about
love that.
waking up the brain.
Yes, it's so true. And I mean, kids alone are exercise. And so I'm sure she's given you a good workout.
Yes, I don't realize, and I literally told my son, who's 26, the same age were when you were diagnosed, but I literally said, if I did not work out, I don't know. She's heavy, she's tall, she's two, but she's like to my hip, and she wants
Wow.
Yaya to carry her, and I'm like, shaken. It's hilarious. But I said, what if I
So
didn't
sweet.
work out? How could I pick my baby up? How can I do these things? So
Yeah.
I agree. At that age, when you said you have a 2.5 year, I'm like, God bless you.
Thanks. I need it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. At home right now, we have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, our kids together, 9, 7, and 2.5. And so, there's a lot of, they haven't been officially diagnosed, but they are us as children. So it's kind of obvious. And
Yeah,
so,
you don't need that. That's not something that I need. It's kind of like that Captain Obvious.
yes, that's exactly how it is. And later, because we do public school, it will be good to have that diagnosis, because then you can have more support. As a teacher, I would often suggest to parents, if you think your child has autism, ADHD, or anything they need help with, please go and get them diagnosed, or at least bare minimum talk to the counselor, because then we can come up with a 504 plan and IEP plan, things that I can't normally do unless we sit down and talk about it. So it's great to be an advocate for your child, especially in public school. And the older they get, the harder it gets, because you have that peer pressure, or just and more
A
classes
stigma.
during the day. Yes. Yeah. And so they can get a lot more help that way too.
That's a good piece of advice right there. Because I never did. I never thought about it. I thank God my kids were really good kids. They didn't act out in school. They were straight A. Again, it was their superpower, right? They were in the GATE
Yeah.
program. They were straight A students. My daughter graduated from college early. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
they
nice.
used it because when I became a coach, I was telling my daughter that I'm going to go to coaching. And she goes, well, what does that do? What? And I said, I'm going to help people set their goals and get their life in order. And that. It's just so, she goes, so people are going to pay for what you do for us? And I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh, I love it.
that was so funny, because even in college, we would talk every Sunday. How was your week? What did you do? What's your goals for next week? Blah, blah, blah. And one time I wasn't feeling well. And she was like, well, what is your goals, Ma? I said, well, I'm going to do this. She said, well, are you writing it down?
Oh, I
And I
love
said,
it.
well, I don't really feel good. I'll wait. Go get a pen. I'll wait. Oh, bossy. It's funny. And I hear me in her, they are now my parents, right? They're telling me,
Right.
did you write it down?
Yeah. They're little mirrors.
They're little mirrors of you. And it's kind of scary to look at yourself in the mirror, right?
It is. It is. Yeah. But I love that she recognized, wow, people are going to pay for this. And it's true, because not everybody is able to have that. And I think that's something that's difficult with ADHD, is sometimes we can manage things really well, and
Right.
other times we can't. Like, I looked fantastic on paper and I
Right.
was crying in the bathroom.
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
I do know. I have been crying in the bathroom a many a time.
Yeah.
My oldest brother, talked me through it to get back out, and like, I'm scared. He's like, scared of what? I don't know. I'm
I don't
scared.
know.
Yeah, it's funny, but a lot of times people don't realize that. And I appreciate it. Again, I'm saying this platform, my whole platform is about being authentic to who you are. No more, you don't have to be superwoman. You can ask for help. There are communities out here willing and ready to hold your hand in these situations, because a lot of times you feel alone. And a lot of times, like you said earlier, that the people who are managing it, how did you say it? Calculated impulsivity, are really successful. Right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so people don't get it. They don't get it that you are crying in the bathroom.
Right.
Right.
Or some things are falling apart. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do we stay connected again with you? Because you are really giving us amazing information.
Well, I have a couple things that you could connect with me, or if people want to go somewhere else to get help. So if people want to connect with me, I have a free Facebook group. I just started a couple months ago, so it's nice and tiny. I actually really like it.
Yeah.
And it's called, I just changed the name, darn it. It's called Adult.
Okay.
It's called Adult Help Living Your Best Life. Adult Help for ADHD, Living Your Best Life. And I can share it with you so you can have a link. But then, of course, my website is easyadhdliving.com. And that's my Instagram. My Instagram's small. I only mostly just use it for DMs. So I check those frequently and people can reach out. And then in the Facebook group, we do a lot of trainings. We have a challenge starting improving concentration early May of 2022. And so we do a lot of things to really try and actually improve your brain, try and work on it rather than just collect information, So if people want to do that, that's a great way to get started. And then, of course, if people are interested in coaching, they can go to, they can just send me a message via the website or Instagram. And then lastly, if people really want to get diagnosed or other help, I found that a lot of people do really well with cerebral. It's online. You can get diagnosed online, and then that way you can get your medication managed if you choose medication. I think they even have coaching on there too. And they help with anxiety and depression as well, because a lot of people with ADHD also have trauma, anxiety, depressions, this whole conglomerate that you can unweave.
Yeah, I said it all the time. I'm a weird person. Like I told my, it's so funny. We just went to the John Mayer concert, right? We went to John Mayer, and you had to go on an elevator to whatever we were going to. And I don't do elevators. I'm scared of elevators. I have a thing about elevators, but not everybody know that. So we were with a group of friends, and we was like, I want to go up the stairs because they think I go up the stairs because I'm Misfit One. And but I go up the stairs because I'm scared as all heck of elevators. I've never been stuck in it. I don't know. It's just a mental thing. I don't know.
So I can actually see that.
I don't know what
I could see why.
I get, and it's a physical reaction. It's not like, oh, haha. Like if you're on the elevator with me, I'm sweating, I'm shaking, and people are like, oh my God, are you okay? So when we went in, my husband saw the elevator. He saw that we had to go on it, and he looked at me. He looked at our friends. He was like, and so he was like, okay, so we have a drill. He goes,
nice.
He blocks the corner. I go in the corner, turn my head around, and they like, what are you doing? Psycho lady. Like, she is crazy. And he was like, yeah, she's a little afraid. Then you hear the ding and everybody get off. And he's like, wow, we didn't know that about you. Like, you do all kinds of things. And I said, yeah, but it's great when you have a team. And my husband is my partner in my crazy world. He's right there. He talks about me, but he goes along with it. You know what I'm saying? Which is cool. And I love it. I love it. I really appreciate all the attention that you are spotlighting on this. And we definitely have to do more of these, because it is something that I am very passionate about. and I don't know enough about it to say anything, but I do love that you came on and shared this with us. And before we wrap it up, is it anything else that you want to share with us?
I think just if you have ADHD, suspect it, or if you know someone, especially someone close to you, just know that there are going to be negative things. There's also going to be fantastic things, but none of it matters. All that really matters is that we just try and move forward in life and make it a priority too, because if we don't really look at it and really move forward, then we're not going to get anywhere. We're going to stay stuck. And that's not what we talk about on this podcast, right?
No,
It's
no,
all about improvement.
that's
And
right.
so if I could just give one thing to everybody, it's just look at what needs to be done, look at your assets and move forward, even if it's messy. Just keep going forward. That's all you need to do because it will get better.
I love it. I love it. Like you said earlier, one thing at a time.
Yes. And that one thing will make a big difference.
Yes, yes, it will. You are absolutely phenomenal. I am so grateful that you took time out to talk to us. And, this is all my program is about is living fit, right? Staying focused, move with intention, and you can definitely transform your world. And you are a perfect example of all of that. So thank
Oh, I
you.
appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I appreciate your podcast because it's fantastic to have this at our fingertips.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys, make sure you connect with Christy. She's someone that you definitely want to stay in touch with. And until next time, you guys, stay fit. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Misfit One Lifestyles. Listen, when you are fed up and sick and tired of living this stifled, overwhelmed, and overstressed life, and you're ready to live the fullest, richest, and healthiest life by gaining more confidence, more energy, and more clarity, living in your best self, you know what to do, right? Go ahead, go to my website, misfit1.com. Sign up for our online courses, Creating Healthy Habit, so that you too can live fit, focus, move with intention, and transform your life.